Victoria, welcome, welcome. We are live streaming on Facebook. I'm so delighted to have you on this conversation today in our Reinvention Conversations and Collaborations group. For those who don't know me, my name is Deb King, and this is the fabulous Victoria Reeves in Chicago, while I am in Sydney, Australia. Victoria is a multi-passionate master. She's a creativity and career coach, a storyteller, a producer, and the host of Soul Stories Live. But what I love about Victoria, she's just a super cool human with so much value to share. And yeah, welcome, sister. So good to have you here.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, I'm happy to be here. Thank you. Thank you. Across the miles. It's exciting.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we are starting right on the dot today. So I'm just giving us a big congratulations. Thank you for the technology working, and thank you for everyone who is going to join us here on Facebook Live. Please feel free to ask questions, comment, maybe put hashtag live if you're watching live, or hashtag replay if you're watching the replay. And whatever questions we don't fully get to, we will get to after. If you've got some really important questions, Victoria, she will definitely be able to answer you at some point if
Happy
we don't
to.
get to them today. So beautiful. Please, let's start with, how has this whole world situation impacted you and your family and your business, and what's been happening for you in your world?
Sure, sure. So briefly, on a granular level, so my son is a student at NYU Stern in New York City, and basically what happened was his dorm is in the middle of Manhattan, and the school shut down on I guess it was March 17th, and they said we need the dorms to be converted into hospitals or housing for medical personnel, and so. Yeah, and so basically within a day, he lost his home, he lost his friends and his world there in New York, and came back home. So that was part A. We bought him a college-sized refrigerator to put in his room so he could feel like he was still living in a dorm. And we converted his bedroom at home to be as comfortable as possible. And that was a transition, which was a little bit rough because he was sad, but now we're super excited to have him back with us for this brief period of time. Anybody out there that's a parent of, young adults, college students, it's sort of like they leave and they don't usually come back to live with you again. So that is a beautiful thing that happened. And then the other piece is that my husband, who is a nightclub DJ. All the bars and restaurants in the state of Illinois were permanently closed. And within, again, like 24 hours, he lost his job. And he basically, more importantly, I mean, yes, the money is a vital part of our existence, but more importantly, he lost his platform for creativity. So we kind of all had a meeting together and respectively as a family. And then we had like maybe 48 hours of freaking out. And then we said to ourselves, okay, well, this is an opportunity for reinvention and for figuring out what's next. And one thing that Deb and I had talked about yesterday. So we've been to 15 countries. We lived overseas for 4 years altogether in Japan. And then our son has traveled a lot with us. And I've been an entrepreneur for 20 years. So basically, the question was not how, but what and why. So that's pretty much how we jumped in. Like we're not going to worry about how to do it. We're just going to say to ourselves, we need a platform to continue creating, and we need to figure out how we're going to move forward. And the other piece of that is that. As you had mentioned, my husband and I together, actually, we produced a storytelling show called Soul Stories Live. And that was another part of our 48-hour freak out because for a year, we've been developing the show to the point where we have like 100 people coming every month, in a physical live environment, right? In a club here in Chicago area. And so we were just like, we're not going to let that die. I mean, that's a living being. It's the show has taken on a life of its own. So basically the long and short of that is we spent 3 13-hour days, my husband and I, testing out like freeconferencecall.com and Zoom and Twitch and all these platforms to figure out how we could convert our in real life show to a virtual platform. And we've now done 3 shows in that way that go out to our last show. We had people in 3 countries and like 10 different states tune on to hear the show.
So great to embrace technology and find creative ways to still add value and have your creativity expressed is super cool. Just wanted to welcome the beautiful people on Facebook Live. Joel, Jackie, Julie, hi, welcome. Please do let us know how you're feeling and what you want to know from Victoria in the space of creativity and reinvention. I'm going to ask, what are your top tips, Victoria?
Okay, so top tips. Number 1, locus of control. Not sure if everyone knows what that means, but it's a therapy term. And I am a creativity coach and a career coach. And so this is a lot of what I work with my clients and my groups on, which is like, if you made a circle and you put yourself inside of the circle and you say, okay, here's me and here's my life. And then here are all the things that I can control in my life. And if you think about it, it's a pretty small circle. Okay. For example, your attitude, your mental discipline, your schedule, your physical health, what you're going to do that day, what steps you're going to take. This is really your locus of control. Everything else, other people, outcomes, situations, the world situation, the list is endless right now. So that is number 1. What is your locus of control? And then say to yourself, I'm going to focus the majority of my day on that locus of control. One piece of that is the news. So really feel strongly that we have to be educated. We're real citizens. We need to know what's happening and we need to make decisions accordingly, depending on where we live. We're on total lockdown here in Illinois, where I am. But after we find out those primary facts, I think it's time to let go, turn off the news and get back to my own peace. So that's number 1. Number 2, living in the gray area of possibility. So, being in transition is something that I've always enjoyed because I feel like in that middle space, that's when all of the magical things can happen. And a lot of us feel afraid to be in that gray area because we don't know what's going to happen next. And I personally feel that, the whole idea of knowing what's going to happen next is an illusion anyway. Like we think we know, but really we don't. But it's just magnified right now. So embrace that space of not knowing and try to be open to whatever comes across your path, right? If somebody suggests, hey, why don't you check out this podcast? Why don't you read this book? Why don't you try this? Be open to it, try it, because it might be a path that you never thought of before, which might just expand your world exponentially. So that's one, locus of control.
Is so cool in terms of magic can happen when you're open to new possibilities. So
100%. Yes. And then so I have 4 here, or actually 5. So the number 3 is a list of previous times when you've overcome adversity. Or you could call that list of accomplishments. You can frame it however you want. I use a lot of like butcher block paper, just like big white. In fact, here, I don't know if you guys can see it, but that's my wall in my kitchen. And there's a super huge list there of all of this different stuff, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later. But I put a lot of lists up, and one of them is like lists of accomplishments. And it's not in an arrogant, like I'm so fabulous way, but it's in a way of, you know what, here was this time when I had no idea what I was going to do next. And I used my creative problem solving skills to figure it out. And this is the process, and this was the result. So I find that to be very effective in terms of looking at yourself objectively and how powerful you are and how you have all these resources that you may not realize that you have.
Yeah, reconnect with that power within. Love it.
Exactly, exactly. And that confidence too.
Mm.
Like we're here. We all have a place to sleep. We have food. We have, like we've come this far. We've taken care of ourselves in all these different ways, and we're going to continue to do that. We are. Which segues into number 4, which is tapping into your resources. So if people are taking any notes, there's three areas. Let's see if I can actually do a super quick. So if you had
Diagram.
yeah, exactly. If you had 3 columns, okay, we'll just do it like this, A, B, and C, okay? So if you just had 3 columns, okay,
Yep.
and then column A is going to be offerings. And this is what offerings is. It's like, and also brainstorm, like don't make yourself crazy trying to figure it out. Just let yourself go. Like offerings, like what are my offerings to the world? Maybe I'm a great writer. Maybe I'm good at fixing stuff. Maybe I'm a carpenter. I don't know, whatever your thing is that you offer. Now the offerings can be concrete skills, stuff you know how to do, and they can also be more esoteric and like characteristics about yourself, right? Maybe you're super patient, maybe you're intuitive, maybe you're great with connecting people, right? Offerings, okay? And then the middle column B is audiences. So it's like who out there on the planet needs what you have to offer. It's pretty cool. And I like to break it down like demographics, age, income, education, personal interest, geographic location, like really, and you might have subsets of groups of people, right? It's not just one. So offerings, audiences, and then to me, column C is my favorite, which is vehicles. So it's like you have this fabulous thing to offer. You've figured out some key groups of people that could use it. How are you going to get that to them? Are you going to make a podcast? Are you going to write a book? Are you going to design a website? You can teach a class? Are you going to make a thing? Is it a product? Is it a service? Bam. So this is an ongoing list. You like bam? Okay, that's it. That's my list. It's a big list.
It's a great list. So really, can you show it again, the ABC?
It's a haphazard thing there, but yeah, so offerings is here.
Yeah.
Okay. Audiences is here.
Yeah.
And then vehicles is over here. So
Awesome.
who are you? What do you bring to the table? Who needs what you have? How are you going to bring it to them?
Great.
In super simple terms. But this, my friends, is the key to the kingdom, especially if you're an entrepreneur and you're saying to yourself, the world is in an uproar and I think it's time to start a business. There's no better time to start a business, frankly, I think, than now. And that's the foundation.
That's cool. I think it's a really great exercise because perhaps there's some offerings we haven't thought about that we could give right now and things that people need right now that perhaps we weren't thinking of until like this moment in time. So it's a good exercise.
That is, yes.
More than what we may have been thinking about before.
And yes, and I heard a great quote on a podcast the other day where they were talking about the gold rush, right, in the American West, and they said, the people who really made the most money from the gold rush were not the people that got gold. It was the people that made the tools in order to find the gold. So think about that for a second. It's pretty wild, right? So it's like if you can help somebody else find their gold, however you want to interpret that, there are a lot of opportunities for that right now.
Yeah, great metaphor, actually.
Yeah,
cool. So that's number 4. You got another tip as well?
You're good. You're good. Yeah, and this I feel pretty strongly about, and people could be offended by this, but please try not to be. Discipline your mind. Okay, so most of us, we go to the gym and we eat healthy and we do all this great stuff and we take our vitamins, but a lot of times when it comes to the mind, it's easy to kind of let your mind go, well, I just, I can't stop thinking about that, or I can't turn off my favorite show on whatever platform, or you know what I'm saying? But actually you can. And I think that what we allow ourselves to focus on the regular influences everything else that happens in the rest of our day. So I go throughout my whole day. I listen to podcasts. I listen to affirmations. I listen to inspirational music. So I'm mindfully curating my mental landscape so that as I go throughout the day, I'm in the space for being open to what's next, to being energized, to being positive. Being positive to me involves discipline. It's like if I just let a garden grow, there's going to be weeds everywhere, right? I have to, I have to cultivate my garden. You have to cultivate your mental garden.
I love that. Mindfully cultivating a mental landscape. That's very cool.
Yeah, I mean, right? I'm sure you do it yourself.
Yeah. I think it's so important because what we focus on, we get more of. So if we start focusing on stuff that doesn't feel good, we're going down a big journey of more of that. And if
Yeah,
we focus on stuff that is opening our mind and definitely opening to the positive and the creativity, magic happens for sure. Mm.
yeah,
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 absolutely.
exactly.
So I know Gabby is on our Facebook Live. I'm trusting we're still live on Facebook and all is going well with our tech because these have been 5 great tips. Curious if there's any questions coming up. Please let us know. And as I said, if we miss them, we will actually answer them after. But thank you for those 5 tips, Victoria. Is there
Sure.
anything else that you feel is important when we're talking about the topic of reinvention and collaboration?
Yes, that's a great question. So I would say that, we live in this world of impression management, which is basically meaning like trying to control how we're going to come off to other people. Um, you know, and likes on Facebook and wherever we're on. Um, to me, the whole process of collaboration is about drilling down into your authentic self, okay? And then figuring out like who you really are in a way that's not trying to impress people, but in a way that's just trying to be the best you that you can be, which sounds very simple, but it's actually a little harder than that. And then when you get to your authentic self, courageously and fearlessly putting yourself out there and not trying to control the outcome. So that's really important, and that's very hard, I think, when we're being vulnerable, and especially if we're trying something new. Most of us want to know, like, do people like it? Do they think it's cool? Are they going to pay me? Are they going to give me a reference? Whatever, all the ways in which we sort of get something back from what our offerings are. Yeah. But I think that the sole purpose of money, and we were going to talk about monetization a little bit too if we have time, is to express appreciation, right? This is how people express appreciation to each other, one of the ways. What does this have to do with collaboration? Well, if I'm coming from a place of humility and genuinely wanting to figure out what I have to offer and to share it, then I'll be able to collaborate because the ego is somewhere else. And it's not about hustle, fantastic. It's more about how can I be here, you know, in community with the other people that I've been blessed to work with in whatever capacity. And then when we're together collaborating, we can all, like a pebble in a pond, right? It's that amazing effect where everybody's just magnified and energized and coming at it from this place of being able to tap into all of our different skills and abilities and perspectives that we have together. We all grow stronger.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you did mention the monetization of gifts. I'm guessing it's the first step is what you said about the ABC columns.
Mhm.
What else would you add in terms of how people can actually do that, then really work out how to monetize their gifts in maybe ways they haven't done before?
Sure. Well, okay, so primarily I work with people that are creative entrepreneurs, which is a pretty broad category. It could be anything. But I think that the first step is to create a body of work. And again, I'm going to say, like, let go of the outcome. If you're creating your body of work and whatever that is, right? Again, we go back to the vehicles. So, say, for example, you have a podcast, okay? And the first time you put it on the air, two people come, right? And the second time, three people come, and the third time, blah, 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 right? And it's just growing, sort of incrementally. How does this relate to prosperity? It relates to it directly. If it, when it comes to building your dream, it's not a paid by the hour journey. There's no hourly pay. It's more like, the big joke with entrepreneurs is like, entrepreneurs will work 80 hours a week so they don't have to work 40 hours a week for somebody else.
Yeah.
So, like Field of Dreams, that movie, if you had it in Australia, if you build it, they will come, right? And to me, that has everything to do with prosperity, because when you are experiencing and living your right livelihood, do you know what that is?
Well, what you tell me what you're meaning by it. I've got my own thoughts, but
Right. So, I mean, I think when we're kids, like, we know who we are, we know what our passions are, we know what drives us, what we care about, and then for a lot of us, like, adulthood happens and we have responsibilities and things get more complex, and often we move away from that inner child, okay? And so right livelihood, the concept of that to me is that our homework as adults is to go back to that inner child and figure out what he or she wants, and then integrate that into a work-life balance that is completely in synchronicity with what we were brought here to do. So that has everything to do with prosperity, because prosperity to me means being your full self, and then you're in the flow state. Like, you're in the flow state and everything works out in a magical way that you could never ever possibly imagine if you tried to organize it and plan it.
Absolutely. It's kind of the following your bliss and your joy. It's not about the money, but the money will come when that's like there's a kind of the energy's right.
Yes. And also, again, like, money is an energy, but then there are other forms of prosperity that come too. I mean, as I said, I've been self-employed for over 20 years, and I do a lot of coaching, and I mostly have appointments like a week out. And after a week, I have no idea who I'm going to work with. And I've been living this way for 20 years. And people are like, wow, doesn't that make you crazy? No, it doesn't. Because if you keep showing up to your process, the people that need what you're putting out there are going to be drawn to you, and you'll be taken care of.
Yeah, beautiful. I say this probably every week that I'm trying to keep these short, but I do have one more question.
Sorry.
I know that you are really into storytelling and a bit of a master in that space. And I really believe storytelling is very important for us moving forward. Do you have any thoughts on how we can become better storytellers?
Wow. Yeah. So in terms of performing story, first of all, I think everything is story. Okay. In terms of like coaching and career coaching and creativity coaching, in my mind, we're always telling our story, right? So your story might be on your resume, your story might be in your painting, it might be in your TED talk, right? It's all story. It's all story if you think about it, going back to the beginning of people sitting around a fire. But what makes a captivating story? A story where, like the hero's journey, Joseph Campbell, right? Where you go out from the safe place and you have this journey, you have this experience, and then you come back changed, and then you're sharing that with the people that are around you. How do we cultivate story? We ask ourselves, what was the time in my life when I had some kind of transformation or upheaval that shifted my perspective? and then what was the granular experience that happened around that time, and that's the story, if that makes sense.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So Victoria, how do people get in touch and get involved with all your cool things? You've got creativity workshops, that you can get coaching, you can get all sorts of amazing ways to play with you. What's
Yes.
the best way?
Cool. Okay, two ways. So we're on Facebook right now. So if you go to facebook.com/soul stories live, you'll be able to tap into all of our shows. We got a show coming up on Sunday, which is all stories about New Yorkers, done by New Yorkers, actors and comedians in New York that we're hosting. It's going to be incredible. So Soul Stories Live on Facebook. And then through that platform, you can find out about my coaching. Then I also have a website, which is Prosperity Career Coaching.
Great.
So that's
We'll put
me.
the links in the post as well, and you're part of this group, so we're gonna
Yeah.
keep connecting and playing together, which is really cool. I'm just so really delighted to chat with you, and I know we could chat for hours, but
I'm so
we're
happy
gonna
to be
keep it short. Lots of top tips. I'd love for those watching, please share what was the best thing that you got out of that, in terms of what was the best tip for you and how you can use that. It would be wonderful. And if you've got any further questions, definitely put them on the Facebook Live. Going to sign off now.
cool.
Thank you again, Victoria. And is there any last thing you want to say before I work out how to stop the live? Every week
Yeah,
I go, how do I do
we'll
this?
figure that out too.
Yeah.
Here's my last thing to say. Like, you are creative beings. You have every single thing inside of you that you need to fulfill your life's purpose. And there's hope. There's massive, unbelievable, unending hope for your future, for the future of all of us. And please just keep being amazing every day and keep learning and keep growing, and it's all going to work out. That's a message.
Okay, what a beautiful message. And just a big shout out to Quinita and Sharon, who joined us as well. Thank you, guys. See you soon. Mwah. You are amazing. Yeah.
Thank you for having me.